Today we've got a very exciting session for you. And in fact, we've got a little bit of a surprise for our brokers on call. So before we get into today's exciting topic, I just want to thank and appreciate all the people that have attended the iTOOsdays and supporting Cyber Month. You didn't know, we are in October. That is Cyber Awareness Month, and that is why we are running our iTOOsdays with a cyber-themed focus. So last week we had our first session where we introduced, we spoke about the evolution of cybercrime and cyber attacks. Went through a couple of some interesting concepts, including touching a little bit on AI. Today we've got a special guest speaker who's going to be talking to us around the Cybersecurity Joint Standard and the impact that has on the financial institutions within South Africa, and things for you to note around that. And I think it's a nice continuation of what we did last week. Next week, we have our next session, which I'll touch on a little bit later on. And we're running again until the last day of the month, which is the 31st, where we'll be doing a special session on our personalized cyber offering. So stay tuned for that. And just on that topic of staying tuned, we would like to thank you as our brokers and our community for joining us on this journey. And we are giving away a mystery prize. So what does that mean? That means that we will be looking at attendance between last week and the end of the month to see, how many of you attended all our sessions, or people that have attended. We'll put you guys into a draw to win some fantastic prizes. So we will announce what the prizes are next week. But for this journey and for you and just to say thank you for supporting us, we are looking to give you something special at the end of the month. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to my colleague Musa to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Wando. I'm here to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, Dr. Caesar Gwala. Dr. Caesar Gwala holds the position of Head of Data Governance at Absa Group Compliance, where his primary responsibility is to ensure comprehensive regulatory and policy compliance to the organization's critical assets, often referred to as the crown jewels. Dr. Gwala identifies himself as a dedicated data steward with a profound commitment to equipping enterprises with best practices in data governance, management, privacy, and security. His ultimate goal is to empower these enterprises to extract value from their vital data resources while upholding the highest standards of integrity and safeguarding the interests of data subjects. Dr. Gwala firmly believes that data governance is a cornerstone of achieving value-driven, agile, and scalable data centricity. It plays a pivotal role in clearly defining data management roles and establishing well-defined accountabilities within the organization. With a wealth of experience spanning both the private and public sector, both within South Africa and internationally, Dr. Gwala is a highly strategic data leader known for his pragmatic approach to execution. He holds an impressive academic record, boasting a total of 5 degrees, with his highest qualification being a PhD in IT and cybersecurity. In addition to his leadership role, Dr. Gwala actively contributes to the industry by delivering keynote addresses, such as this one, at prominent business conferences and iTOOsdays. He also produces valuable content related to data management, which is regularly published by various reputable business, data, and technology media outlets. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Dr. Gwala, welcome. The floor is yours.
You're still on mute, Dr. Gwala.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you so much for the kind words of welcome. I'll be sharing my screen just now, but really would like to say thank you. It really is an honor to be joining this highly multifaceted and highly critical platform. I'm really honored that you've invited me so that I can share my what I think it's key in the industry today. With us celebrating the Cybersecurity Awareness Month, Very important milestone for us as the tech, data, and privacy information security space. Colleagues, I'm just trying to swap my screen. Please just give me a second. Please, just to be sure, which screen are you seeing, the one with the presentation, or are you seeing the other one?
We're seeing the other one, Doctor.
The background one.
One of the notes. Yeah, let's just switch that around.
Okay, let's just share. Okay, I'm gonna just reshare. Right. Pardon me for that. So, and as introduced, yes, indeed, I'm Sizwe Gwala in Absa Bank as the head of data governance. And mine today is to pretty much talk to you about something that you already know, colleagues, right? And but to bring it in context. Why do I do that? We have got an obligation as the business community to obviously take care and handle the data that we've got at our disposal with integrity, with utmost respect of the policies and regulations. So today I'm just going to take you through what the theme is of this year's cybersecurity awareness.
Sorry, Doctor. Your sound is a little bit low. I'm not sure if it's your mic, but you were fine, and then you went slightly lower.
Okay, and now?
Yes. That's much better. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So as I start, colleagues, can I just ask you about the Willis Apple? I'm a parent, and I'm sure there's other parents in this meeting, in this call. How many of you Apple saga? That is, now you bought it once, and now the kids all they want now is the Willis Apple. I don't know if I'm the only one who's like that, right? There's quite a lot of people. So with the Willis saga, the Willis Apple, it's so interesting, right? It's a very nice Apple, very expensive, of course, and it comes in different sizes and in different shapes. And when I got worried was that this Apple is always there all year round. Same Apple, okay, you'll always find an Apple in Woolies, whether, I don't know, even if it's bad, right? That's the first thing. And two, I actually saw that this Apple is so nice, it's sweet. And most of the times you'll probably go to, let's say, for instance, go to Checkers or Pick and Pay, you buy an Apple. You'll find that probably sometimes it's not nice. Maybe it's a bit wibbly, squashy, or it's sour or something like that. But the Willis Apple is always on point, right? So there was a time, there's this friend of mine, right? He's allergic to strawberries. Now, which takes me to my story, what I'm going to share now. So he's allergic to strawberries, and as he was starting to understand what is the problem, right? He would just get inflamed, the tonsils, they will come up. So he actually started reacting. He was just having, the similar symptoms, but the only thing that he ate was a Willis Apple. Right, I'm like, okay, let's just try to play back. What did you eat? No, I just ate the apple. Actually, it's the only thing I'm eating because an apple is considered as a neutral fruit. Like, okay, fine. Now, if the apple is the only thing that you have eaten, right? Perhaps let's take a time and understand what might have happened, right, with this apple. So we mapped the process of landing the apple in the store, right? And then it starts from growing right up until you get to consumption, disposing, and composting it, right? So perhaps maybe if we say growing the apple, it's obviously grow in a farm, it's harvested by hand. They say they are hand picked, and then they are washed. The wax coating helps. They're able to keep them crisps. They are packing them in boxes. Are they sorted and packed in 4-pound cartons? Now, perhaps maybe during the packing, the apple might have been intercepted, right? And maybe got into contact with the strawberry. But as we started analyzing how it's done, understanding it, actually it couldn't have been because of it's strictly and entirely an apple farm, and they do all the packing themselves. Okay, then it comes into distribution. You can't because of it's already sealed, right? So nothing is happening. Processing, right up until the store collects their material, gets delivered into the store, and it gets to retailing. Now, looking at this journey here, the possible areas might have been when they were packing it or in the store and retailing. But in retailing, most of the time, unless you're buying those apples, they come already sealed in plastic bags, those tiny transparent bags. So we're like, okay, this guy's allergic to strawberry. Now he only ate an apple. Is it possible maybe that it's grown a new allergy? Then he went to test. No, you ate strawberries. I said, but how? And I was like, no, I ate strawberry. Then eventually we started digging and we realized that no, the problem happens here at the growing. What happens is, I just said the Woolies apple is always there, right? And it's always sweet and nice. What they do is they mix strawberry seeds and apple seeds to give it some flavor, right? And then that also makes it to be more sustainable and lives longer. So the seeds that they've created now can produce more and more apples. So now the compromise was done at the seed time, right? But this must be kept as a trade secret right through the process. And then this must be followed by each and every person that is going to be entering into this value chain. Now, this critical piece of information, of course, it needs to be hidden because they can look, they can either lose it, other people can steal the idea, or it can even take them to for a lawsuit if it's not even done correctly. So at the end of the day, we uncovered that no, the seeds are what is causing a problem. So colleagues, what I did, I unpacked a process, right, of a simple apple. But this is a strategy that is used by Woolies. This strategy is very important because of their apples are being sold for the whole year round. Now, for them to stay competitive in the market, to be the best in the market, they must make sure that they protect this information and they safeguard it. While on the other end, there are some adversaries, right? Either fellow vegetable producers and food producers, as well as other players in the market who would want to steal this information, right? Who would want to intercept it and reuse it for their own benefit. So coming back to our discussion for today, commemorating this exciting Cybersecurity Month, I'll talk to you about what cyberspace is and the power of AI and ML. AI is artificial intelligence, ML is machine learning, which is the playing ground for cyberspace. I'll play the power of AI in the financial services sector. And then I'll also look at now how cybersecurity has evolved as a discipline, and then what our responsibilities are with regards to a standard, which is a joint standard for cybersecurity and cyber resilience, which is passed by our authorities. So, artificial intelligence. It is a branch of computer science developed on the basis of those computer-based programs, which possess the power of replicating human behavior. So the idea behind AI is if we can make technology to think and behave like a physical person, a natural person, then we've met our game. It is technology such as machine learning, natural language processing, and predictive analysis. I don't want to get too deep into this one, but machine learning is AI as you know it. Natural language processing, think of your chat GPT, you command it using natural language, then it produces either a response or it acts on a command. There's predictive analytics, which is something that you normally use to focus your sales. And it obviously makes it to see how the competitors are operating, as well as shaping the financial services sector in general. Now, the market size of AI is sitting at 136 billion. That was in 2022. This is an official report by the Forbes Advisory. And it's expected to expand at a compounding annual growth rate of 37%, 37.3% between last year and 2030. Quite a massive adoption, right? So it means that all companies, all businesses who are planning to stay competitive in the market, they're all using this. However, the shocking revelation was that 89% of large companies have digital and AI transformation initiatives going underway. However, only 131% have clear objectives of why they've bought this technology. They are clear that they want to do this, and then they can also measure it. But only 25% have realized the cost-saving benefit of this thing. So there's various reasons for this, right? One could be data is complex, they couldn't analyze it, the systems were a misfit, the data was intercepted. But I say that cybersecurity or data theft is quite significant in this regard because of once you start working on the data, you make it clean and usable. it becomes a crown jewel that everyone wants to have a piece of. So it requires you to properly safeguard it. With cyberspace, we've seen a couple of use cases being deployed. Chatbots, no one likes to talk to your computer, but I think it does help at times. Like you want to get your park number, if you call yourself a network provider, you want to reset your ATM PIN, you can talk to a chatbot. You call them, they come back, or you use the one on your banking app, for instance. Portfolio management, compliance management. It also checks and monitors how we meet our compliance obligation. Like now, we are talking about a piece of regulation that we need to observe and be compliant with. We need to have controls in place to ensure that are we achieving compliance or are we not. Then you also find that there's financial analysis, which is what we do in the day-to-day business to keep our business profitable, report generation, and automated back office. Now, meaning with the traditional way of working, we are changing, right? And we're not necessarily taking people's jobs or whatever. No, we are advancing the mundane and administrative tasks to create more space for professionals like yourself to engage on your core business. This is AI, right? And then in the financial sector, end to end, right? We've seen it being deployed from a security point of view to identify and detect fraud, network penetration, and money laundering. There's a lot of controls and tools that I can talk you through. We've seen it optimizing the payments process, but specifically making it more effective while secure, right? And here we also think about things such as your ethical AI, ethical handling of data. We've seen an improvement in how customers are being serviced across all sectors. And finally, we've also seen algorithmic trading. Think about the Bitcoins, right? There's a lot of businesses who are moving towards this notion of paying with Bitcoins rather than using physical money to be paying for their services. So why am I saying this to you, colleagues, right? I'm saying this to you because we are sitting in a space where we need to advance. Unless you're advancing, then you might probably find yourself being extinct in a very short time. So colleagues, the other part that says, there's two schools of thought, right? It's either you advance, take the risk. If it hits you, prepare yourself as much as possible, or just forge ahead in life, right? So that your business can be competitive in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Another school of thought says you must play safe, right? Let's not go into this, we can't trust this thing, we don't know it. Depending on what your goals are, but advancement is something that you have to make. You have to make decisions at the end of the day, right? So with the fourth industrial revolution, we've seen how the market has changed completely, right? I don't know how many of you have got more than 200 rands in your pockets now. I doubt anyone does, right? Because of we are using our apps to buy. I was also going to say, how many of you are still using a bank card? Most of the time, I tend to use the app, the tap to pay, because it's much more convenient, right? And I feel it's more secure because I access it with my biometric, either my facial recognition or my fingerprint. So with the AI, we've seen it changing, right? But at the same time, it's creating a lot of risks for us. Data is now exposed. We are buying these solutions, we pump it with data, with these solutions, we pump it with data, customers' data. We don't even know how to handle it, but we have to pump it because of we need to advance, right? There's dynamic customer needs which are changing, such as how we service our customer, how we render our financial advising, and remote work also brought about by the lockdown has also changed drastically. Now we are seeing, instead of just 1 or 2 meetings being held virtually, every meeting is now held virtually. Now I was listening to you saying where you are. I mean, it's far away, right? But we can all be in the same meeting at the same time. It has led to the compression of space and time. And then cybersecurity threats, or specifically on the cloud, because of now most of our data gets hanging there. We are fortunate enough if we are able to at least catalog it and keep an inventory, but most of the time we don't even know what is there. And then ultimately we expose ourselves to fraud and identity theft. So looking at these factors, industrial revolution, dynamic customer needs, remote working, the threats, as well as the fraud and identity theft, these are the pressure points that says, guys, you need to do something. You need to provide a standard, right? And these were not made by us as South Africa, but rather they stay from the globe, right? Because we are a member of the one global community through the UN, through the SAB is the member state of the IMF. You know, those regulations, they really guide us. So looking at the cyber resilience concept in particular, Cyber resilience says that you must be able to build solutions in cyberspace which are able to respond with any crisis that happens, and at the same time to be able to ensure business continuity and sustainability. That's the main idea of cyber resilience. Right? Cybersecurity, I think, is straightforward. It's been used a couple of times, that we must ensure that our cyber space, our parameters are secure and are not easily penetratable. The fundamentals elements of cybersecurity came at around 2016 by the G7. The G7 published this one, and it really set the scene of, okay, guys, how exactly are we going to look at cybersecurity? The same way also the CPMI, which is the Payment Committee and Market Infrastructure, the ISOCO, coming with a guidance on cyber resilience for financial markets, right? Thereafter, we moved along the same way. We saw the paper on cyber risk to the insurance sector, which was signed off by the International Association of Insurance Supervisory. And then 2017, there was an operational resilience working group, which was produced by the Basel, a group of guys sitting in the Basel. And then in 2017, also, there was the FSB survey. And then the NIST also published their ISO 27000 series, which then ultimately led to us having a joint standard on cybersecurity and cybercrime, which we are talking about now. This is a joint standard because it's produced by two regulatory bodies, the Prudential Authority and the FSCA. Okay, so guys, I'm getting a delay. So the South African financial system is large, right? As you probably know, you have also part of the financial services sector. It's concentrated and is highly interconnected with cross-border nations, right? We cannot exist in isolation. There's a lot of transfers that we make on a day-to-day basis. Like me sitting in the bank right now, money is moving in and out of the country. The banking sector on its own accounts for 31% of the total financial sector asset. So we are the biggest, I think. And then the proportion of our GDP is 115%. That was also by 2022, which the new report will be published late this year. The banking sector in South Africa has got 5 large banks that you already know of, which accounts for more than 91% of the banking sector in the country, right? It's interconnected, but also we've got a lot of third-party data providers. Think of our integration with the Home Affairs system. Think of our integration with the Reserve Bank. Think of our right up until we get to the IMF and the Global Bank and the UN, right? So for our systemically important financial institutions, that is now the banks, which they're the 500. There is 4 payment systems, which is the SAMOS systems, the RTGS, the Strat, and the BankSafe, right? And then there's also another group, which is the CDS, Strat, which facilitates the settlement of equities, the bonds, and the money. This is where your bonds pretty much get managed and handled. And then there's the JSE, CP, which is the only one which is authorized to list shares and sell them on behalf of major companies. So looking at the picture, it looks something like this, right? The source of funds in a bank typically, predominantly, I think this is very useful information to have. So if you're effecting a payment, right, as an individual, right, it will start by the source, which is the participants, and then it will come, either if it's outside of the country, it will be the SADC RTGS, SAMOS if it's in the country, as well as foreign exchange if we are pushing it out of the country. If it's a business transaction, it will go to the OTC and then ultimately get recorded and flagged at the JSE. And then there's also derivatives, right? There's a clearing system in between, which looks at the extent to which we comply with regulation and policy, which is the BankSafe for me and you, and then the JSE Clear for major organizations. And then the Securities FX, right? Which now, once everything is done, it gets settled via them. And then there's a cash settlement. So your money ultimately gets paid by the RTGS, which distributes to all the banks in the countries. The SAMOS distributes to other non-natural persons, such as the businesses and the companies. And then the OTC goes to the, what they call it, the commercial banks. So I know, colleagues, this is quite a lot of information, but as I'm here...
Hi, Doctor. So, Doctor, can you hear me? Sorry to disturb. I think our audience is struggling to hear you. I'm not sure if you can maybe speak a little bit louder or it's get closer to your mic. But yeah, we can hear you fine, but I think a few of our audience are struggling to hear you a little bit.
All right. Okay. Okay. If it persists, then I'll have to.
We can hear you perfectly.
We have. It's fine now. Right? So we have as a country. No, I was actually asking a question that, are we fine at this stage? With what I've covered, do we have questions that you want me to tackle, or can I continue? Are we still good?
We're still fine. We're still fine. We can continue. Thank you. So,
yes, we've got now, as a country, we had to respond, right? We were told by those bodies that we need to come up with a solution, a guideline or a blueprint for how we're going to handle our cyber resilience and cybersecurity. So the South African Reserve Bank and the Prudential Authority, they came to as leading public sector agencies in terms of strengthening SAP. I'm sure you're all aware, it oversees the stability of financial systems and the provision of liquidity assets to financial institutions, right? And then the Prudential Authority provides supervision of banks, insurance companies, the supervision of CDSs and CPCs, and trade repository from conduct perspective. So it looks at the conduct risk point of view. It falls under the FSCA Act. So we've got those three bodies which came together and they put together a cyber resilience standard, right? It seeks to ensure that the financial institutions establish robust, effective, sustainable processes for managing cyber risk. It promotes the adoption of business critical practices to prevent the CIA triangle, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. It serves to ensure that financial service organizations perform, and then it encourages financial institutions to establish and maintain cyber resilience capabilities. And it also exists finally to provide for the notification of model cyber incidents by the regulated entities. Who does it apply to? You're probably asking yourself. It's banks and mutual banks. It's collective investment schemes, it's market infrastructures, it's funds. And most importantly, the insurers like iTOO, right? Now, as a customer or as a business, you're probably thinking, I don't have any of these things. What am I going to do? Of course, there should be a plan to build this if the organization is matured and ready for these capabilities. The security option of the risk in the options that you have in place, but I'm not in what we need to build as controls in businesses. Control requirement number one is effective governance. So the control here says we must establish effective governance that provide
we seem to be losing Dr. Sizwe. We'll just try and get him back. Yeah, he's open. We'll try and get him back on as soon as we can. Apologies for that. Hi, Dr. Sizwe.
I got disconnected there.
Yes, sorry, yeah, your network cut out.
Oh, okay. Should I start sharing?
Yes, please. Yeah, let's go back to where we are.
Right. Sorry about that. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Let me see if I close the video and open. Oh. Tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, right. I'm just gonna
just change the view there on presenter view.
Okay. It's on presenter view. Okay. Sorry about that. Please let me know. Are you good now?
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, carry on. It's good.
Thank you. My apologies, colleagues. Yes. So what we obviously have to do, which is pretty much what's next, right? From here, we need to ensure that we've got effective governance structures. I think what Carter was explaining, that what the is right, and that is to ensure that we comply with the requirements. They provide oversight over cyber risk management, and then they could also delegate authority where required. There is the business governance, which is the EXCO, and their role is to preside over the clear definition of roles and responsibilities. So for it to succeed, cybersecurity as a strategy, cyber resilience should be driven from the top down. We cannot try, no, it must be pushed from the top, championship and ownership must be top, and then it goes down to operational teams. And finally, when it comes to operational teams, the guys on the ground, we need to, therefore, that we establish and maintain cybersecurity strategies approved by the governing body. We also annually review the cybersecurity strategies that we are operating on. And then we also establish a security framework, right? And then what does the framework look like? What does it mean? It's obviously based or rather dependent on the risk that you're exposed to as a business, because of at the end of the day, we take a risk-based approach when we are approaching these things. Secondly, now with the framework that I'm talking about, it will talk to the cybersecurity control requirement of fundamentals, which have been provided for on a policy level by itself, but also it's something that we would have to think deeply as a business based on our exposure and based on our risk appetite. So we need to ensure that there's an identification, a policy controls which are deployed, and it's now to ensure that our systems are properly accessed. And then especially critical systems or critical data elements are kept behind firewalls and authorized individuals have access to this. We also have a concept of toxins nomination or unauthorized access, which we are very, very extremely about on a regulatory level. There's protection, which the Cybersecurity Awareness Month has been stressing that there's no enough protection in business because of the threat landscape is constantly changing. So we need to ensure that we've got effective control, resilient capabilities, and practices to prevent or limit and contain the impact of a cybercrime incident should it happen. Thirdly and fourthly, we've got detection, right? And response and recovery. Detection is about when a cyber incident occurs. We should be able to detect it and then act immediately on it. And finally, response and recovery. So capabilities to rapidly respond and recover from cyber attacks, as well as mitigate the potential systematic risks. So these colleagues are the controls, high-level controls that we need to bring in place. Of course, they've got more behind them, which I'll also be sharing with you. You can read it in your own time. I'll just take, let's say, for instance, protection, right? The capability is called protection. The description says is implement appropriate and effective cyber resilience capabilities and cybersecurity practices to prevent, limit, or contain the impact of potential for a cyber event. So you can see that it says anyone, right? Meaning that based on the risk exposure, based on the maturity of the business as well as the staff members who are driving. Protection strategy must comprise of an IMS process, system, a policy that is putting together an information management standard, the application and security, the network security, the cryptography, and to continuously having these awareness sessions actually. And then moving right on, there's testing, and then there's learning and evolving, right? Which is also those additional requirements which we must have in place. Situational analysis, think about it as a compliance assessment. Then we test, and then we obviously deploy, and then do continuous learning. Colleagues, moving right along, right? There's what we call our hygiene cybersecurity practices. That is on a day-to-day basis. You should, at the minimum, be performing 1, 2, or a couple of these controls that I've listed. Fine. Effective access management, we've spoken about that. You must have a password policy and process to enforce strong password security controls for our IT systems. Privileged access management, give access based on privilege, right? Based on a need-to-know basis. Not just everyone will have access to all the information. Very, very serious in terms of POP as well, because of if the information is just easily accessible, it becomes an issue. We must have multi-factor authentication. It's been proven that access control that is managed by multiple platforms is much more secure than the one which is managed by one platform. With firewalls, our security system, do we do regular penetration testing, which also comes next, in patch management, and how do we ensure that this is completed properly in the machines. There's also malware protection. Is now deploying the software, the antivirus software, will also protect us from constructing any virus. These colleagues are controls that, at least on a day-to-day basis, should it happen that the regulator wants to visit you, you must have them in place. And where you don't have them, at least there must be a plan, such as the risk acceptance plan or risk avoidance plan based on your discussions with the relevant financial services provider. And then finally, the malicious use of information and technology and cybersecurity could disrupt our financial services crucial to both national and international financial systems. Why? Because we live in a borderless environment, and our transactions are controlled outside of the country, but we've got our work and our MI being generated this side. And then given the increasing frequency, severity, and sophistication of cybercrime incidents, in recent years, legislative, regulatory, and supervisory interventions have been taken to increase this. Such as this joint standard, which we've got, it does a bit of a presentation. Sorry, guys, someone's disturbing me. So we do that to ensure that we produce. My apologies. I'm in the boardroom and people have because of opening the door. Yeah. So the joint standard on cybersecurity and cyber resilience sets out the requirements for sound practices and processes of cybersecurity and cyber resilience. Now, what that means for us is that we should promote this cyber resilience joint standard. We should support it. We should encourage our clients and our stakeholders to start building these controls, right? And as part of the contribution that we are making as the industry, we are sharing the message. Each and every one of us is going to play a role that they're playing in this ecosystem. You have got insurance products that you are selling to them. Do ensure that they cover at least the main fundamental controls that we have spoken about today. Colleagues, thank you so much. This is sort of prepared for you today.
Thank you, Dr. Sizwe. I think, unfortunately, we had a lot of technical difficulties with your signal at the end there. We do apologize to everyone on the call. It's not really in our control. Sometimes these things do happen. But hopefully you did get the gist of what was discussed in today's session. And just to tie on those last couple of slides that the doctor spoke about, where we're talking about the minimum requirements, we're talking about, what should, financial institutions be looking at from a security standard. This is very much aligned to how we as underwriters look at policies, and policyholders in terms of what we want to see in place. So it's not only specific to the financial sector, although this standard will be a specific sort of, what are we calling it, Dr. Caesar? Is it a bill? Is it an act?
An act. No, it's an act, yes.
Yeah, so it will be, a law that you will have to follow just like Poppy is, but from a security awareness and what you're implementing on the run, it's very much great practice across the board. So whether you're in a financial institution that is like a bank or or asset manager of the like, or if you're in a smaller industry that doesn't have the same financial requirements, there is still good hygiene practice that you should be looking after. And that is exactly, I think, one of the things you can take away from this joint standard, that it's applicable to one sector primarily, but the underpinnings of security, given what we're seeing from a claims and the risk landscape when it comes to threat actors, it would be something that we would advocate for all our clients to be following. Doctor, there haven't been any specific questions around that, but we do have one question for you. Go ahead, Mr.
So, Doctor, thank you very much for your presentation.
And that is, I think it's similar to